All right, here we go. So we're going to jump in and start talking about MicroStrategy first, and then I'm going to get into with you a trade that I should have placed, but really shouldn't have placed and missed out on 25%. But how I'm going to pick up on the next 20% gain, I'm going to show you in this video as well. So first off, why do I think that MicroStrategy is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers? All right, so let's talk about MicroStrategy. So some people think that this company they're being reckless, but at the end of the day, I think they're actually being brilliant. Now, Michael Saylor is the founder. He is a financial genius, my friends, and this move that they made into the NASDAQ 100, what just recently happened, this is the kind of stuff you're going to tell your grandkids about. I'm telling you, it's one of the most genius financial moves of the entire last 100 years that's been made. And it's super exciting. So here's why. MicroStrategy is not just buying Bitcoin, guys. They're building an arc for the future of money. And while a lot of other people are worried about inflation and they're worried about the dollar and we're losing our purchasing power, which you should be concerned about that because the US for the last 100 years has printed 7% more money supply every single year. So they print 7% more money every year, which means your purchasing power goes down every year. If you were to hold the dollar for 100 years, you'd lose all of the value of the dollar, 97% to be accurate. So MicroStrategy, what they're doing, they're stocking up on Bitcoin like it's gold 2.0 because it is. And guess what? It's working. Okay. It's working. It's working. It's working. Now, during the market right now, people are looking at like, oh, it's a bear right now. We're in a bear. The Bitcoin just went down 15 or 16% over the last several days. You have MicroStrategy that's dropped as well. And it's down at 330, 334 right now. But here's the cool thing, right? Well, one, I got into MicroStrategy earlier this year before it skyrocketed hundreds of percents. Okay. MicroStrategy's gone up as of this morning about 478% so far this year. As of close today, it's a little bit down. Okay. Now, there's critics out there. You watch the news, you watch people talking about MicroStrategy. Some of them are saying, hey, what happens if Bitcoin crashes? What happens if Bitcoin goes down? I watched an interview with Michael Saylor recently. He goes, if Bitcoin goes down to a dollar, we're not at risk. We'll just gobble up all the Bitcoin if it went down to a dollar. So whatever the critics are saying, it's not true. Okay. And I hear what they're saying, but Saylor is not guessing. Michael Saylor is brilliant, graduated from MIT. He's got an engineering mindset. He's calculating, all right? It's not some fly-by-night gamble where you're going to the casino and you're throwing it all on red. And I know some of the financial journals are talking about this is like gambling at a casino. People who don't understand the data and the strategy of chess that he's playing with MicroStrategy in terms of buying Bitcoin would clearly look at this and say it's a gamble because they don't understand what's being done. Okay. It's not a gamble. This is chess, guys. All right. So, question is, you can leave it down below in the comments. Do you see Bitcoin as the future? Do you see what MicroStrategy is doing in terms of gobbling up the Bitcoin? Do you see it as it too risky for you? Or do you see it as the future? So let's hear it down below in the chat. Recent data from one of my guy that I pay attention to and listen to, James from Invest Answer, shared a chart recently. Shout out to James on this. He said that about 1 in 500 people actually know what Bitcoin is, or about 1 in 5 or 2 in 5. Yeah, 1 in 500 actually know what Bitcoin is. Okay. So when you look at 1 in 500 people actually know what Bitcoin is, that's a very, very small percentage of the population. Okay. And people don't typically understand it. All right. And then in other survey data, if you look at the people who own Bitcoin, I think it's about 2 out of 50 people actually understand MicroStrategy. So 2 out of 50 people that own Bitcoin understand MicroStrategy. So look at that. If you look at the population today, 1 or 2 out of 500 people understand what Bitcoin is. And then Microstrategy, which is buying lots of Bitcoin, about 1 or 2 out of 50 people who own Bitcoin, 2 out of 50 people who own Bitcoin actually understand what MicroStrategy is. So the number of people that understand what MicroStrategy is infinitely small, or I should say very small, not infinitely, very small. And that's why you sit around at a party like I was at the other night, I'm telling people about MicroStrategy. They don't even know what it is. Most people have never even heard of Michael Saylor. And so it's very fascinating to see. And so the question is, are we early to the game or late to the game with MicroStrategy? I got in early, so I can't give financial advice. None of this is financial advice of what to do. I'm just sharing with you, I got in early, and many other people are looking at this going, should I get in? Should I not get in? I think it's a brilliant move of what Michael Saylor's done in MicroStrategy with buying Bitcoin. Now, clearly, they did this back in 2020. And on average, if you look at the play of what MicroStrategy has done, approximately, if you look in 2020, I'm giving you very approximate numbers, research the data yourself, when they first put $250 million of their treasury, right? So companies sit on cash, right? So if you own a company, you sit on cash and you have like a treasury and you have a bunch of your reserves in there. And typically when you put money in a treasury, you earn 2, 3, 4% or what have you on that money that's sitting in the treasury. So a lot of times companies have this money just sitting there in their treasury. So MicroStrategy had $250 million sitting there. What Michael Saylor was sharing in a recent interview was like, it took us like 30 years to build up this company, which is a software company. So if you don't know what MicroStrategy's underlying business is, it's a software business. All right. So it took them 30 years or so approximately to build up this software company, to build it up to $500 million in revenue per year, and to get $250 million in their treasury, just reserves sitting there, right? Took them 30 years to do it. And then in one moment, they took all $250 million and they put it into Bitcoin in 2020. That bet paid off. He understood as he studied Bitcoin that this was the future, that this was digital gold. Over time, he started acquiring more and more Bitcoin. And I believe the number from about 2020 to about 2024, they bought about $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. Okay. So just to give you kind of the magnitude of what's happening over the last 4 years, MicroStrategy acquired approximately, you need to look up the exacts, $10 billion of Bitcoin. But then in the last 6 weeks, when MicroStrategy rolled out their plan to buy $42 billion of additional Bitcoin, they rolled this out in October. When they rolled out this plan to buy $42 billion of additional Bitcoin, the plan that they rolled out was received even better than they expected. And with new management coming in, meaning the Trump administration, people got more bullish on the plan. So while the plan was to acquire 42 billion additional Bitcoin over the course of 3 years, when they came out with the plan and new management took over, the Trump administration, which will take over officially January 19th or 20th, when news of that caught fire, people got more bullish. And so the plan that was to buy 42 billion since October forward into 3 years, 3 years forward, got accelerated. And since then, MicroStrategy has issued stock to buy about 14 or 15 billion additional Bitcoin. So it's 14 or 15 additional Bitcoin in a 6-week period, guys. They bought 10 billion over 4 years, and in 6 weeks, they bought another 14 billion or $15 billion worth of Bitcoin. All right. So think about it. Like, you're not going to have investors coming in and giving them this kind of money if they don't think that this is a smart bet. Okay. And there's a lot of people out there that think this is a smart bet. All right. And you have investors that are also loaning money to MicroStrategy. So it's in the form of 2 ways that MicroStrategy gets money to buy Bitcoin. If you understand this, it's pretty simple. MicroStrategy issues stock, right? So they issue stock. Businesses do this all the time, right? Apple could issue stock if they want. Microsoft could issue stock. People issue stock, right? Typically, when you issue stock, it dilutes the company value, right? Because you're issuing more stock. So they issue stock. And what happens is people go in and they buy the stock. So like I could go on an exchange right now and buy Microstrategy. That would be Microstrategy issue stock. I buy the stock. Pretty simple, right? When I buy their stock, they get money. Now, most companies, what they do when they issue stock and they get money. And then the goal is that they're going to put that money to some kind of future use. And eventually they're going to put that money into the company and they'll have a growth plan with that money. So eventually it will be accretive to the shareholders, meaning the people who bought the stock, eventually the company will grow more and the value of the company will go up over time. And the people who bought the stock will be very happy. Yeah. What MicroStrategy is doing is the very same thing that many companies do. They just issue stock. The difference is what they're doing when they issue stock and you buy it or I buy it is they take that dollar that you give them and they go buy more Bitcoin. Very simple. Okay. So this idea of I'm going to issue stock is not a new thing in financial markets at all. It's been going on for years and years and decades for a long time. The difference is what they're doing with your money when you buy the stock. And this is the primary difference. Most companies, like I said, are taking the money and they're simply just putting it into something else, right? So they'll put it into their company. Like they'll put it into, they have expenses, right? They have new growth projects they're going to put it in. And all of that stuff takes time. It takes time for the company to then show the money they gained and put back into their company. It takes time for it to accrete and go up in value so that shareholders can win. The difference with what MicroStrategy is doing is they're taking your money when they buy the stock and they're buying Bitcoin instantly. And so that's causing the value of MicroStrategy. You're seeing their stock continue to go up as a result of them buying more Bitcoin. Okay. And the second way that they're actually buying more Bitcoin is they will get people to loan them money. All right. So if you ever heard the word bond, it's really simple. When you buy a bond, right, you're basically loaning money. So if you've ever bought a bond from the government, right, like if you ever bought a corporate bond or if you ever bought like a T-bill, right, you're basically loaning the government money when you do that. Okay. That's a bond that you're buying from the government. You loan them money and they give you a rate of return. Simple. So what's happening is people, institutions, are loaning MicroStrategy money. That's a bond. Okay. And what they do with the money is they buy more Bitcoin. That's as simple as it is. All right. So if you look fundamentally, if you really want to understand what MicroStrategy is doing, it's just two things very simply. One, they issue stock, they take the money, they buy Bitcoin. Two, they get loans from other companies or institutions or people. They get loans and they take the money and they buy Bitcoin. Right. Putting it into simple terms, right? A lot of times people don't understand the word bond. Like you'll have to look it up sometimes 5-10 times. So what is a bond? What is a bond? Simple. People are loaning them money. They buy Bitcoin with it. There's some benefit for that person to loan MicroStrategy the money. It's really easy, okay? The genius of it is when the money's loaned with some of the loans that MicroStrategy is getting, they're not paying any interest on it. So you could imagine being an individual. Imagine if somebody loaned you money to buy Bitcoin and you had to pay 0% interest on it. Could you imagine that? Right? Like somebody gave you $1 million. They're like, hey, don't pay me any interest. Right? Don't pay me any interest. Here's $1 million. Go invest it. The difference is there's some benefit 5 years later for these people that are loaning the money. So while they're getting no interest right now on some of these loans that they're giving to MicroStrategy, they're getting no interest right now. And but in the future, there's a benefit to them. So in the future, at some given point in time, if like they gave MicroStrategy $1 million, they now have given MicroStrategy $1 million of value, $1 million of money. At that point, later on, they can convert that into stock. They can convert that value into stock, and then in the future, 5 years down the road, they own MicroStrategy stock, and they've gotten the increase of the value of what the stock has gone up by. Okay, so they made money. The stock's here now. 5 years into the future, they believe the stock's going to be up. If they want to, 5 years from now, they can convert it to stock and get all the gains. That's as simple as it is. Okay. So like if you're an individual and somebody's like, hey, I'll give you $1 million. 5 years from now, when Bitcoin does well, give me some money back. Right? So in simplicity, I'm giving you a simple metaphor to understand it. That's what's happening. All right. So when you look at this act of leverage, right, to understand it even better, this act of leverage is it's been going on for decades and decades and decades. The only difference is MicroStrategy is the first company on the planet to have bought Bitcoin when they did it 2020, and they put it on their balance sheet. And so what makes it different is they're issuing stock, they're buying more Bitcoin, they're getting loans, they're buying more Bitcoin. Companies do stuff like this all the time. Nobody ever bought Bitcoin with it. Make sense? So that's what it is. Mark's saying I see Bitcoin being part of our future for sure. I also see tokens like XRP being a large part of our future. There's room for everyone, especially those tokens with utility and have a reason to purpose in our new world economy. Yeah, great, Mark. Yeah, it's great that you're studied on it. I know a lot of friends of mine that are into XRP. I'm not in XRP, so but I know a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are bullish on it. I understand the concept. The concept seems sound. Just not something that I've invested in at this point, but very cool that you're doing it and you're understanding it. So that's basically what's going on with MicroStrategy. So if you wanted to get it and get the gist, that's it. Okay. So the question is, do you then believe in a company that's deploying a strategy like this? Now, why what they're doing is not different in terms of the concept that companies have been doing for years, and in terms of the concept of what one even does with real estate, right? Like if one buys real estate, you get a loan, you buy some real estate, right? That property goes up over time, right? You take the value of the real estate, take some money out of the real estate, the money's gone up, the value's gone up, you take some money out, you buy more property. Concept simple. People get the concept when you talk about real estate. It's like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense, right? Yet you have people, you had a newscaster the other day interviewing Michael Saylor going, hey, like it seems like MicroStrategy is a Ponzi scheme. It's like, no, it's not a Ponzi scheme. It's like they're using leverage like real estate investors have been doing for years, like companies have been doing for years. The only difference is they're buying Bitcoin. That's it. Okay. So that's the gist, right? So that's what's going on. So you have to come to a decision of like, what are you going to do with your money in the future? What are you interested in learning about? And I highly recommend that you take a look at stuff like this to get educated on Bitcoin, get educated on MicroStrategy, get educated on Tesla, to understand, not just to blindly put money into things, right? So that's one. Number two, I'm going to go into some trading charts right here to show you about a trade that I did not place on Friday that would have been like a 20-something% gain. I showed you on Thursday a trade that I made that made 15.7%. I'm going to show you a trade that I did not make, and I'll tell you the reason why. And then I'll show you a trade that I'm about to make soon that will probably make another 10-20%. Okay. So, and this is not financial advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. Do not go trading money if you don't know anything about it. And if you ever want to trade, first learn to trade on paper. Okay. Like with paper money, fake money. Okay. So before I get into that, if you're interested, I'd love to hear what you would be interested in the most. I have a new money platform that I'm rolling out that will be available in 30 days. It'll be an opportunity for people to learn about stuff like this that I'm talking about. But what do you want to know the most about? Like what stocks or what crypto do you want to know the most about? What would you like to get on these? My platform is going to provide you with fun facts about the future of these assets. It's going to provide you with daily updates on the assets. It's going to provide you with interesting tidbits and information so you can get educated on things you invest in. There's a whole bunch of stuff I'm rolling out with this. It's going to be super cool. But I want to know what you're interested in. Like, what do you want to know about when it comes to investing? And what do you want to know about when it comes to stocks? What do you want to know about when it comes to crypto or Bitcoin? Okay. If you want to put it down in the comments below, it'll help me with the development of the platform. So that's that. So let's get into the trade. All right. Let's take a look at the charts and let me show you the trade here. All right. So pull up my screen and I'm going to share my screen with you here. And I'm going to show you the stock that I'm trading right now. Okay. All right. So great. So here's the screen. So you can see the screen, zoom in or whatever, so you can see it better. Let's just do a full screen layout here. Okay. And basically what you're looking at here is like trading charts. Okay. I did not develop this. If you want to go get access to something like this, go to Trading View. If you want to get the scripts that are in here, go talk to Invest Answers on this. Because they're the ones who developed this. I'm not selling this. I make no money off this. I'm just sharing with you what I do and how I'm using this. Okay. So, and I don't represent either group. All right. So basically, if you see this here up here, there was a red arrow that came in the middle of the screen. And what I'm trading, you can write this down if you want to go study it. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not saying go trade. I'm just saying go take a look at what I'm trading. So I'm trading Microstrategy, but not the actual stock of Microstrategy. There is a version of Microstrategy that is a 2x. So it's 2x. It's called MSTU. MSTU. So the ticker for Microstrategy, if you want to go look up Microstrategy, is MSTR. And then the ticker for this is MSTU. So Microstrategy is MSTR and this is MSTU. It's basically if Microstrategy goes up 5%, this is a 2x, it goes up 10%. And if MicroStrategy goes down 5%, this is a 2x, it goes down 10%. Okay. So it's 2x leverage. It goes up 2x to MicroStrategy and down 2x to MicroStrategy most of the time. Okay. And so this is a trade that came in Friday. And if you can see here, the trade says to sell. All right. And so in this situation, where I've got a red signal here, I look at the red signal in the middle of the charts here. And then the red signal is the first indicator to sell. And then the trend, you'll see the blue line shift to yellow. And when the blue line shifts to yellow, that means sell. Okay. Now, in this situation, you'll see it trends down from blue and the yellow line goes all the way down here. If you see it at the top here, it goes all the way down. So MicroStrategy went down. This 2x derivative of MicroStrategy, which is like another form of MicroStrategy, this 2x is like I could have bet against MicroStrategy and I could have bet that MicroStrategy is going to go down. And per the charts, it was saying MicroStrategy is going to go down. So I could have placed a 2x trade down. And had I done that, this thing closed on Friday at 12.9. Okay. So if you look at the ticker on this, it closed at 12.9. I'm going to pull something else and show this to you right now. So it closed at 12.9. But if you see MSTU here, right? Here's the stock I'm trading. So it's down. It closed at 12.9 and it's down to 10.62. So this thing went down about 17.4% in one day. So what that basically means is the charts were telling me to bet against it. And if I had bet against it, again, mind you, Friday, see it says 10.61 here. On Friday, this thing was at 12. After hours, it was at 12.9. It closed like before, like there's an after hours market. So after hours, it went up as high as 12.9. So it went from 12.9 to 10.6. It's a massive drop, right? Okay. Massive drop. Yeah. So the charts here, I'll show you the charts that were telling me, hey, place this trade because it's going to drop. Had I placed the trade, I would have made 20%. Okay. Now, on Thursday, I placed a trade betting that MicroStrategy was going to go up, and it went up 20%. I got out of the trade and made about 16%. But I did not place this trade on Friday. I did not bet against MicroStrategy. I did not listen to the charts. And my policy is always listen to the charts, except, and let me show this to you. Always listen to the charts, except I didn't listen to the charts, and the charts actually won. If I had bet against MicroStrategy, if I had bet MSTU going down, and the inverse of MSTU is called MSTZ. So I would have bought MSTZ. MSTZ would have got it then would have the MicroStrategy stock would have gone down, and this derivative of MicroStrategy going down would have netted me about 20%. Okay. So the reason I did not place the trade is because MicroStrategy today officially got money coming in from the NASDAQ 100. Okay. And so I didn't place a trade and bet on the charts for a very specific reason, is like, okay, it's possible that because MicroStrategy got added to the NASDAQ 100, and what that means is one of the top 100 companies in the world in different sectors. So the NASDAQ 100 has some of the top 100 companies in there. Okay. And MicroStrategy got added as number 52, which is a big deal. And getting added to the NASDAQ, there's a fund called QQQ, which basically mirrors the performance of the NASDAQ. I know it gets kind of complex, but the NASDAQ 100, a bunch of top 100 companies, okay? Right? So it has a bunch of companies, 100 companies that are some of the top companies, right? So MicroStrategy gets added to that list. And there's a fund that trades and invests in those companies. And so if you wanted to buy into that fund, you're going to get the performance based on how the NASDAQ does of those top 100 companies, right? So MicroStrategy gets added to the list. And the moment they get added to the list, that means that $2 billion are going to come into MicroStrategy. Now, we don't know if they all got added today or some of it's going to be dripped a little bit over time, but $2 billion is definitely coming into MicroStrategy. That's a lot of money. So in looking Friday at the charts where I was going to place the trade, the only time I don't place the trade is when there's news events that I'm uncertain of. In this situation, had I listened to the charts, I'll show you the charts again. Had I listened to the charts and I had placed a trade against MicroStrategy, because this red arrow it means bearish, right? It means sell, right? And it's going to go down. And in the trading that I do, I can bet against MicroStrategy. Now, mind you, 96% of everything that I hold is long term. So in the long term, I'm betting for MicroStrategy. I'm bullish about MicroStrategy. I want it to win. My long-term holdings, they go up, they go down. I'm holding them long-term. I'm up hundreds of percents on MicroStrategy. So for me, long-term, it's a winner. I just keep holding it. But in the short term, I like to play games. And if I can make 10% in a day, or sometimes 20% every couple days and play the game, I follow the charts, and that's what I do. And so here, it's like it's going to go down. Red arrow, bet it's going to go down. It's going to go down. If I place the bet, I make 20%. I don't place it because MicroStrategy, the news was coming out. We knew today there's going to be billions of dollars flowing into MicroStrategy. Officially, the flows were starting today as a result of being added to the NASDAQ 100. And so I'm like, I'm not going to place this bet. Had I placed it, I make 20%. I didn't, and I lose out. Couple other times where I have not placed bets based on the charts. My policy is always listen to the charts. Thank you to Invest Answers, creator of this trend line here and the scripts that go in here. Thanks to TradingView. I did not create this. I take no credit for this. This is just how I'm trading and making money. Okay. So that's the gist on trading. All right. In terms of doing it this way, I found a stock that I know something about. I found a stock that I love. I found a stock that's super volatile. I trade the stock on 2x. So if it goes up, I make 2x. If it goes down, I make 2x. And I trade it. And 90% of the time when I follow the charts, I'm right. Simple. Okay. And the only times I don't follow the charts and is when there's big news events. So like when the elections happen, I'm like, I'm not trading. Who knows what's going to happen? The night before the election, we thought it was going to be close based on the media, because the media, a big portion of the media spreads false data and false information. So people the night before was like, is Kamala going to win? Is Trump going to win? We don't know. And Trump wins by a landslide, right? So during those times, I'm like, I'm not going to place trades because who knows what's going to happen. So I don't pay attention to the charts. I don't place the trades because there's news events that are unpredictable. Today, MicroStrategy gets added to the NASDAQ 100. It should be bullish for MicroStrategy. All common sense would say that it's going to go up. It doesn't go up, right? And the chart said it was going to go down. Could have listened to the charts. Didn't, because I'm not trading during big news events. Make sense? Okay? So I sit it out. During the times that I don't trade, I'm pretty much trading most days. I'm looking for the signal, whether I'm going to buy or sell. But there's days where I don't trade, which are when there's big news events. And so Friday, big news is coming Monday. I'm not going to trade. Now, news is over. I'm waiting for this trend line to shift, and I'll tell you, I'm going to buy back in, and 90% likelihood that I'm going to be right if I follow the charts here. And so when I buy back in, here's what it's going to look like. Again, not financial advice, not recommending you do this at all. If you want to get educated on this, go check out TradingView. Go follow James on Invest Answers. He's the one who's developed software on this stuff. I'm not giving financial advice. I don't represent him at all. I make no money from this. I'm just using the tools, and I'm sharing with you like what happens when I'm winning, and I'm sharing with you also. I'll share with you situations when I lose. Okay, so here in this situation, you see the trend line is dropping. The yellow line is going down. Everybody see this first graph? The yellow line's going down. You see this yellow line going down. You see the yellow lines going down. Then you see the second graph down below, okay? You have a second graph down below, and you see the trend line, the other yellow line going down here, and you see this green dotted line down here, okay? I think there's going to be a buy signal coming in soon. When the buy signal comes in, we will get a green arrow that pops up, and then the moment the yellow line turns to blue, I will buy, and I will place a trade. I expect to see that line sometime tomorrow. I would be surprised if we don't see it sometime tomorrow. And then I will buy in. I'm expecting it to come in. The MSTU, which is a 2x MicroStrategy leverage stock, is at 10.66 right now. I expect the buy signal will probably come in somewhere around 10. And then I will jump into the trade somewhere around 10. Okay. Don't know. Got to wait for the buy signal to come in. All right. So that's the lesson for today. How you can make money when it's going down. You can make money when it's going up. And again, my policies that I've created for trading are really simple. I'll give you my policies for investing. Number one, I don't invest in anything I don't know something about at all. So if I heard a YouTube video, because I've been through multiple bull runs now, guys. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2018 after the crash. My friends and I were sitting at the table. We watched the bull run. We watched Bitcoin run way up. I think it was 2017, 18. When New Year's was happening in Christmas, we watched it go shoot straight up. It was like, this is a rocket ride, man. Bitcoin went up to like 20,000. Sitting at the table, I did not buy. And then Bitcoin then crashed down to $3,000. And I bought my first Bitcoin at $3,000. Okay. So I first got into Bitcoin when it was $3,000. I bought mining equipment in 2018, and I mined my first Bitcoin with another group back in 2018. So I mined I think we mined with the mining equipment at the time, whatever. We mined several Bitcoin, okay? So we mined Bitcoin back then at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, all right? And that's when I first got into Bitcoin. Then over the years, I've been through the bull runs, and I've been through the crashes, all right? And so the policy I created as I watched it go up and I watched it go down is, number one, I only invest in things that I know about. I've probably watched at this point 1,000 hours of study and 1,000 hours of communication around the topic of Bitcoin. So I understand it very well. So that's number one. Number two, I've researched MicroStrategy. I started following Michael Saylor back in 2020. I bought my first MicroStrategy shares, multiple shares back in 2020. So I started following him in 2020. So I've had 5 years of education on Michael Saylor's philosophy, his viewpoint, understanding what he's doing, and education. So now I can confidently say that I've invested in MicroStrategy early. The bulk of my investments in MicroStrategy were early this year. So I'm not buying in at $330. I'm just trading right now with where the stock's at on the 2x leverage, okay? So my rules on investing, I need to know something about it. I need to be highly studied on it. I may throw in just a little bit of money because I'm not really interested in something unless I'm in the game. So like in the beginning, I'll buy a little bit. That way I'm in the game and I'm watching and I'm playing a game. If I wanted to, I could just trade with paper money. All right. On TradingView, there's an option to trade with paper money. So you could buy them with paper money and just play a game. You can buy Alpaca is another exchange you can go on, and you can just trade with paper money. So if you want to just go buy MicroStrategy right now based on paper money, you could go buy it and you could watch it and you could play a game and be like, I buy it now. And if you don't want to invest real money right now, okay, at least get in the game with paper. And I'm not going to give financial advice. You decide what you want to do with real money, and watch it and get educated. So 1, I get educated. 2, I buy in with a little bit of money. 3, I get educated even more, and I study and I study and I study and I consume. That's number 3. Number 4, I don't get during the bull run right now. I don't get nervous with the swings up and down. It's just I don't get nervous and I don't react to that kind of stuff. Okay. When we hit the end of the bull run, which might be August, September, October, then I'll start looking at what I'm going to do. Will I sell all of my Bitcoin? Will I sell all of my MicroStrategy? No. Will I hold a bunch? Yes. Might I take some profits? Maybe. Okay. So at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I want to see what happens with the new administration coming in. I want to see if the U.S. adopts Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Trump said that he was going to do it in so many words, but it's not literally, this is what we're doing, this is when we're doing. I would be shocked if he doesn't do something. Shocked, okay? He would disappoint all the people he spoke to at the Bitcoin conference. He would disappoint, 100 and something million people that own crypto, because the number of people in the U.S. that own crypto, I think in the U.S., I think there's 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, so 20% of the population. So I think there's about 70 million people in the U.S. at a minimum that own crypto, and maybe it's more now, okay? These are stats from like a year ago. And then, and fact check what I'm saying, because I'm giving very approximate stuff on this, all right? And so I think when we see what Trump does, and then we see other governments that follow in, if they do follow in, I think then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do at the end of the bull market, okay? I've already taken some profits. I got into this MSTU stock. I loaded in early on it. I took out all of my principal because it was a trade that I was doing. I took out about all my principal, and then I reinvested all my gains back in. And so while I hold a large portion of my bag is in MicroStrategy, a large portion is in Bitcoin, I have a small portion in this 2x leverage that I'm just holding because I made a big profit on it. I'm just going to invest all the profits back into this 2x leverage and let it ride. Okay. Since then, it's done very well with my profits in it. I have no risk whatsoever except the profits that I made. And so once in a while, do I rotate out of things? Yes. I took some profits and gains from my Bitcoin gains. Because inside one of my stock accounts, I could only own the ETFs. I couldn't own Bitcoin. So I took some of the ETF money and I rolled it back into Tesla when Tesla was at a low. And my Tesla position, because I bought a 2x leverage on Tesla, is up 200% right now when I rolled back in. And so I make moves. But the majority of what I do is I hold long term. And then in the next 6-7 months, which I know is going to be a bull run. We're not at the end of the bull run, guys. Okay. That's my prediction. That's my personal opinion. I think there's no way, no how, no hell we're at the end of the bull run right now. And I know people are doubting and some people are uncertain and Bitcoin's dropping, but this is my third bull run that I've lived through. I've lived through the bulls and the bears. We're not at the end. All right. And when the Trump administration comes in, I think we're going to freaking boom. So I'm bullish on that. I'm bullish on Tesla. I own some Solana, and I own some Solana just because I think the technology is sound, and it's the most used platform right now. 54% of all the transactions take place on Solana. It is the future technology. Do I have enough knowledge on it to pour a huge percentage of my bag in there? No. So I put a little bit in there, and that's what I hold right now. So pretty soon when my new platform comes up, you'll be getting daily updates on my picks that will be coming out every single day for free, and just updates and education on it. And it'll literally be sent right to your phone, and it'll be pretty cool the way the technology is delivered. So get ready, and it'll be free. So there you have it. All right. Hope it serves you. And have a great rest of the day. And if you have any questions or there's something you want to know more about, happy to answer anything that I do know. I don't claim to know everything at all. I've been in the financial business since I was 21 years old. And so I've been a student of money since I was 21. And then I've been in crypto, Bitcoin since 2018. Been in Tesla since 2016 or 2017. So when I first bought Tesla, a whole bunch. And then been in Microstrategy. My first shares I bought was in 2020, very small amount in 2020, and then bought a whole bunch more early this year before it went up a lot. Okay, so that's what I'm in. If you have any questions, put them down below. Happy to give you my point of view. Again, this is just my point of view. Go study other people, get their point of view, formulate your own point of view. Make sure you do it based on data and facts. Try and stay away from most of the mainstream media because I find that they don't have a lot of data and they like to create controversy. And most of the newscasters, some of them are really good, but there's quite a few that ask these questions off note cards and they don't even understand what they're asking a question on. So I don't ever listen to that fear that's put in the news and false data and controversy and claiming that, is MicroStrategy a Ponzi scheme? Only a person who has no knowledge whatsoever on the topic would even ask that question. And it's not that it's okay to ask that to protect yourself, but like somebody who has no knowledge would ask the question because they don't know. Somebody who has knowledge would never even think of asking the question because they know. So there you have it. Hope it serves you. Any questions you have, post them in the comments. I will answer them. And I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.